Yo, what's up, fam? Welcome back to the crew. How Russia built a stealth jet to flex on the West. The Su-57. For years now, the Su-57 has been one of the most talked about and debated fighter jets in modern aviation. Russia claims it's a fifth-gen stealth fighter that can go toe-to-toe with Western beasts like the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II. But despite over 20 years in the works, there are still only a handful of them in Russia's Air Force. Some folks think it's an underrated powerhouse, while others say it's just a flashy PR stunt. So what's the real deal? Is the Su-57 truly a next-gen game-changer? Or just a jet that'll never live up to the hype? Let's break it down. Where the Su-57 came from. To really get the backstory on the Su-57, you've got to rewind to the Cold War era, a time of major military flexing between the US and the Soviet Union. Both sides were racing to outdo each other with nukes, defense systems, and especially air superiority. In the 80s, the US made a big leap with the Advanced Tactical Fighter ATF program, aiming to build the world's first fifth-gen stealth jet. That effort eventually birthed the F-22 Raptor, a jet made to dominate the skies with its stealth and cutting-edge avionics.
The Soviets saw the potential in stealth tech and high-performance jets and started working on their own answer. But here's where the philosophies split. The US went all in on being invisible to radar, while the Soviets wanted a fighter that could turn hard, move fast, and hit hard, not just hide. This led to the MiG 1.44 prototype, built to compete with the F-22. But when the Soviet Union collapsed in '91, that whole project got scrapped due to the economic meltdown.
Russia's comeback. Now independent Russia needed a fresh start if it wanted to keep up in modern air warfare. That's when Sukhoi, one of Russia's top aerospace companies, stepped in. In the early 2000s, the Russian government realized it had to develop a fifth-gen fighter to challenge US air dominance. So they launched the PKFA program, basically a project to build the next-gen frontline jet. The goal? Build something that could rival the F-22 and become the main jet for Russia's future air force.
Sukhoi landed the contract and started designing a jet that would blend stealth, high agility, and advanced tech. At first, the prototype was called the T-50, and it took its first flight in 2010. Not long after, it was officially renamed the Su-57, marking it as the future backbone of Russia's air power.
A different breed than the F-22. Unlike the F-22, the Su-57 wasn't meant to be a carbon copy. Instead, it followed a distinctly Russian design philosophy: mix stealth with maneuverability and versatile combat abilities.
But how does it actually compare to the F-22? As soon as the Su-57 hit the scene, aviation buffs and military analysts couldn't help but stack it up against the F-22. At first glance, both jets look sleek, futuristic and stealthy, but the design priorities set them apart.
The F-22 was built with stealth as its #1 priority. Everything about it, from its smooth body to its internal weapons bays, is made to avoid radar detection. It's got angled surfaces and a blended design that keeps it off enemy screens.
The Su-57, on the other hand, takes a more balanced route. It does include stealth features, but it also focuses on speed and agility, more like an evolved version of older Russian jets like the Su-35. One major difference: engine placement.
The F-22's engines are buried deep inside the jet to minimize radar signature, while the Su-57's engines are more exposed, which gives it less stealth but more thrust, flexibility and raw performance. So, the F-22 has its engines tucked deep inside the body to stay stealthy, but the Su-57, its engines are more exposed, which makes it easier to spot on radar.
Thrust vectoring. The Su-57 rocks three-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles, which means it can pull off some wild acrobatic moves in the sky. That gives it a serious edge in close-up dogfights.
Radar-absorbing stuff. The F-22 is covered in next-level radar-absorbing material to keep its radar signature super low. Meanwhile, the Su-57 leans more on shaping and design tricks than high-maintenance coatings.
Biggest weakness: the engines.
Now, here's where the Su-57 runs into some real issues. its engines. Originally, it was supposed to use the Izdeliye 30 engines, which would have let it supercruise, fly supersonic without using afterburners. But fast forward to 2024, and guess what? Those engines still aren't ready. So instead, the current Su-57S are using upgraded AL-41F1 engines, the same type used in the Su-35. They're strong, sure, but they don't give the Su-57 the real supercruise power it was supposed to have. That means it's not as fast or fuel efficient as it was meant to be. Honestly, that engine delay has been one of the biggest things holding the jet back from reaching its full potential.
Still, it packs a punch.
Even with those setbacks, the Su-57 has some pretty sick tech that makes it a serious player in modern air combat. Let's check out the features that really make it stand out.
Thrust vectoring mastery. One of its coolest tricks is the 3D thrust vectoring nozzles. Unlike traditional jets that rely just on flaps and fins, the Su-57 can actually redirect engine thrust. That lets it pull off insane maneuvers that most Western jets, including the F-22, can't easily match. This makes the Su-57 a beast in close-range dogfights, where agility can make or break the fight. Russian pilots have shown it can do crazy post-stall tricks like the Cobra and the famous Kulbit move, stuff that can totally outmaneuver an opponent in a knife fight-style air battle. But hey, let's be real, those moves are cool in close quarters, but when it comes to long-range beyond visual range combat, the usefulness of those tricks is still up for debate.
Loyal wingman drone, another futuristic flex? The Su-57 is being paired with the S-70 Okhotnik B, a stealthy combat drone designed to roll as its loyal wingman. This drone can fly alongside the Su-57, help with surveillance, carry radar, and even launch attacks independently. The US and China are working on similar drone wingman systems too. The idea is pretty slick. By flying with a swarm of AI-powered drones, the Su-57 can reduce its own risk in combat and hit targets without putting the jet in danger.
Hypersonic missiles. One more huge plus, the Su-57 can carry Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. These bad boys fly over Mach 10 and can hit targets more than 2,000 kilometers away. That kind of speed and range makes them almost impossible to intercept. While the F-22 and F-35 stick with more traditional air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles, the Su-57's hypersonic arsenal gives it a serious edge in long-range combat. NATO's been sweating this because hypersonic missiles are so fast and agile, current missile defense systems basically can't keep up. If a Su-57 rolls in with multiple Kinzhals, it's a real threat, especially to high-value targets like aircraft carriers or strategic bases.
Internal weapons bay. The Su-57 has internal weapons bays too, just like the F-22 and F-35, to keep its radar signature low. But here's a twist. It also has external hardpoints for extra weapons. That makes it more versatile, but also easier to spot on radar when it's fully loaded. Inside, it can carry advanced air-to-air missiles, precision-guided bombs, and even nukes. Still, the limited internal space means if it needs to bring the heavy firepower, it's gotta use those external mounts, which kills the stealth factor.
The craziest thing about the Su-57, its biggest problem isn't stealth or engine performance, it's that Russia just can't crank out enough of them. By 2025, only 22 Su-57S have been built, and Russia's hoping to hit 76 by 2028. But let's be real. With all the logistical and economic headaches Russia's dealing with, even that modest goal is starting to look like a long shot.
Will other countries even buy the Su-57?
Since Russia's struggling to build a bunch of Su-57S for itself, there's been talk about selling it to other countries to help fund the program. But so far, not much luck. Russia pitched it to India, China, Algeria, and a few others. India was initially into the whole joint 5th-gen fighter idea with the FGFA project, but they bailed later, saying the Su-57 wasn't stealthy enough and didn't perform up to par. China? They're doing their own thing with the J-20 Mighty Dragon and don't seem interested in buying Russian jets anymore. So who might actually buy it? Maybe close allies like Algeria, Vietnam, or even Iran. But with sanctions and money issues, even those deals are up in the air. The Su-57 is an impressive jet. It's got crazy agility, advanced weapons, and can work with drones. Pretty futuristic stuff. But it still lags behind when it comes to stealth tech and how many they can actually build. So, is it really a next-gen fighter, or just a flashy prototype stuck in development limbo? Only time will tell. If Russia can fix its problems, the Su-57 could become a serious contender in the skies. But for now, it's still got a long runway ahead. What do you think? Drop a comment, hit that like button, share it, and don't forget to subscribe for more badass military aviation content.